What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today I'm going to be showcasing F1 Manager 22 for the first time on my channel. Big thank you to Frontier for inviting me down to their studio to have some hands-on with the game. Now, I've got an exclusive to break straight away. The release date, it is August 25th. 2.5 months just to wait now, and we can be managing our own Formula 1 team in depths that we have never seen before in a manager game. I'm so hyped for this game, and I think you guys are too. The hype levels for this game has been unprecedented. I think more so than the main Formula 1 game, so I'm really hyped to get stuck into it. But let's get into the gameplay itself. We're going to be jumping on board as the head of Alpine. We're going to be kicking out Otmar Safnauer, and we're going to be taking the helm of a Formula 1 team. There's a reason why we encountered Otmar in Monaco. He walked past us, he was going to the job center, and I was on my way to the garage to start managing the team from Baku onwards. It's not a coincidence. This is happening. Now, as team owner of a Formula 1 team, you have complete control over the finances, over the day-to-day running of a Formula 1 team. You can basically take control over anything, which is actually quite surprising to me. The fact that we can take control of a licensed Formula 1 team and then go and upgrade their facilities and completely chop and change their drivers and play around with budgets and the whole manner of different things. It really is quite crazy. We'll get into further detail as we get into it, but we start on this landing page here. This is where I've chosen to start the video. This is where we scout for a new driver. So you can choose your first driver, second driver, and a reserve driver, but then you can also send scouts out to find talent around the world, whether that be through F2 and F3. We have the F2 and F3 drivers as a pool of drivers to choose from, and we've also got the likes of other people like Nico Hulkenberg, etc. So yeah, you've also got the reserves of other teams to also scout. So you'll send out your scout and they'll bring out information on them and like show what their potential is, how fast they are, their aggression levels, a whole manner of different things. So it really is cool. But we start off here with Jack Doohan. He's currently at Carlin, and he's racing in F2. We have Fernando Alonso as one of our main drivers as well. Esteban Ocon, second driver, and Oscar Piastri, as you would expect, being the reserve driver. So you can see the different ratings there. Both drivers very young, and we can choose to replace Oscar Piastri if we want, or if we really want to, we can chuck Jack Doohan straight into one of the main driver roles. You can choose his salary, starting bonus, race target bonus, and you can choose how long the contract you want it to be for. I mean, 5 seasons as a reserve is a bit much, but you know, you can lock a driver away for that amount of time, and there we go. We have actually sent him a contract, and now because there's a crossover of drivers, we have to break contract with, I believe, Oscar Piastri there. So we've hired a new driver, and they'll start training with us from the next race. So that's a very quick look at how the driver transfers can work. Very, very cool. I don't actually know fully at this time whether you can hire and kick out people mid-season or whether you have to wait until the end of the season or specific parts of the season. But I think you can replace them whenever you want. We move on to this next page, and this is where you can manage your finances. Here we've got a season balance projection over the coming months towards the end of the year. We fast forward over to the next tab, and they give you a breakdown of your expenditure through driver contracts, staff, facilities, upgrades, sponsor payments, entry fees. It goes really in depth here. It is absolutely crazy. I don't want to dwell on that too much, but you can pause the video and zoom in and stuff, and it really is next level. What I'm most excited for, though, is like the facilities and the upgrading of car parts and how in depth that goes, and you can actually specify which car you want the upgrades to go to, and it's very, very cool. Here we have a manufacturing upgrade which has just come on in time for this race. That was for the side pods. They give you 4 new designs that have been stored in the warehouse, so you can actually manage your actual individual parts, and you can choose to build new and upgraded components, or you can choose to manufacture your current spec and then put them on the car as and when you need to. But it's really good. It gives you really detailed analysis on where the upgrades will benefit you, whether it be low speed, high speed, cornering, drag coefficient. It's next level how much upgrades they can make. And you know, it's one thing seeing the upgrades, you know, on paper, what they'll do percentage wise, but then you also need to compare the upgrades to your current spec and see how it actually works on circuit. So put that into practice. So some upgrades might be more risky, others might not be so much, and you just gotta like play around with the upgrades and see which upgrades work car to car, and then go from there. So this is just the aerodynamics tab. You can break it down to chassis, front wing, rear wing, side pods, underfloor, suspension, and then you've got powertrain, which you move into as well. And like I said, you can just compare all the stats where you will potentially gain from the new upgrade going on, and other areas where you might lose performance. So if you chuck on a downforce upgrade, for example, of course you're going to be faster through the corners, but then you might have more drag potentially. Now, the way that you navigate through the menus is through the emails at the top right of the screen. You can fast forward time to a point until you get to an important email, as you see on screen here. Then it'll stop time and you have to deal with that. So on this occasion, we have the race prep for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It's almost here, so I wanted to make sure the team is prepared before we leave. You can check out the circuit info to help plan your strategy. Check out our sponsor performance targets, and potentially guarantee them results for a higher reward, that being cash. And then you can also check out our car builds using our best car part designs. So this is the race weekend preparation screen. You can check out the circuit info, which gives you a lot of detailed analysis. We click into that, you can see the overview, circuit map, sections by speed, car attributes. You can see like where people stack up in terms of like this track, what the predicted pecking order is going to be. Expected strategies, which is really, really handy if you're not really sure what your plan of attack is going into the weekend. You can see previous race results, historic results, powertrain usage, compound performance. So much data than what you really need, to be honest. So obviously it helps a player like me. I have my own knowledge of what tires should work at a particular circuit, but until you actually get into the nitty-gritty of it, you've got to play around and see what tires work. And of course, it's always going to be a constantly moving goalpost as you apply on new upgrades, and your tire wear gets better or worse depending on what area of development you decide to go on down with your car, and also drivers as well. I'm sure different drivers are better at managing tires than others. So it's a very dynamic experience, and I 100% imagine that no two people's career modes experience are going to be the same. It's going to be a very dynamic and fluid experience, I think, across the various YouTube series you might click on to watch, and even ones that you'll play yourself. So that's really, really exciting. And the way that the race weekends play out, it's 100% race. So you play out all 51 laps. You can fast forward time, but, you know, at certain times, you really need to play it at real-time speed to really hunker down and make sure your drivers are doing the right things at the right time. Here's an interesting one. Time considerations. Data on time lost to pitting and safety car statistics. Average pit time lost, so that's under green flag running with a pit stop. Under green flag, it is 20 seconds. With a safety car / virtual safety car, you only lose 9 seconds for a pit stop. So that's, you know, half the time of a pit stop. So if you can get a safety car pit stop in, you save 11 seconds compared to normal. So that's a lot of time saved if you can do that. Safety car deployments over the last 5 seasons, an average of 1.5, I suppose. And then we have 3 and then 1. So yeah, safety cars and VSCs do come out fairly often at a track like Baku. And I can say, I actually did a full race of this myself, which isn't in this gameplay, but in my gameplay, I had 2 red flags. Red flags are in F1 Manager 22. If that's not a reason to buy the game, then I don't know what is. Okay, with that said, shall we continue into an actual race weekend then? We have the breakdown of the teams and drivers' standings, the status of our drivers, the board confidence there, medium, so we're not exceeding expectations, but we're not doing horribly either. Season objective is 4th or above in the constructors. We're currently P5 at the moment, so if we can get a good round today, then maybe we can topple ourselves over Alfa Romeo and get ourselves into 4th place. So we'll have to wait and see. It's time for the race weekend then. Let's do it.
Hello from Baku, where we're looking forward to a weekend of racing among the medieval and the modern, here at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Drivers will be battling it out on the streets of the Baku city circuit, a real contradiction of a track. From the long main straight, where the less drag the better, to the tight turns where downforce is a necessity. Teams are going to have to work hard to get that balance right. We're about halfway through the season now, and there's still plenty of time for everything to change. All eyes are on the teams and how they tackle the rest of the year. There's nothing like a race weekend in Formula One.
So here we go. We're in the race weekend itself. We're going to simulate through practice and qualifying and just jump straight into the race. But I've got to say the graphics are very good for a manager game. Normally, it's all UI and menus first and gameplay graphics second, but they're actually really good. I can't fault Frontier on the way that they've approached this game, and they've really crammed a lot into the fidelity, the visual fidelity of the game. But it's time for the race. Hopefully, we can get some big points.
Race day has arrived, and the time has come for these drivers to fight it out wheel to wheel.
Alpine demonstrated a lot of grit during qualifying here, and will be hoping that the hard work pays off when it comes to the race. It was a good result for Alfa Romeo in qualifying. Hopefully they can keep up that momentum for the race. And the race will be taking place under blue skies. That means the teams should be able to apply their strategies without any added complications.
Well, whatever happens, it's sure to be a tremendous race day here at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
All right, here we go. Just continue to head into the race. You can manage the driver's strategies. Fernando Alonso qualified in the top 10, but he's allowed to start on the mediums. I'm assuming it was a wet qualifying for that to be allowed to happen. But yeah, 100% race. You can choose the fuel load. You can completely choose the strategy. Car setup there, 70% confidence. You have to engineer that through the weekend and find a sweet spot that the driver is happy with. And the more confident they are, of course, the more faster they're going to go. So it's a compromise of finding speed and also stability. And that's a dynamic I really look forward to exploring over the course of my career mode playthrough, which I'm going to be doing on Twitch, by the way, but still uploading to YouTube. Anyway, there's so much you can manage, but let's just get straight into it and see how it all works. Let's go straight in the deep end.
The drivers have now taken position on the grid, and it's looking like a cloudy day. Let's take a look at the Alpine. They might not be in the top 3 spots, but things could change fast once the race gets underway. Further back, we've got Esteban Ocon. They'll be starting the race from the bottom half of the grid, so there's a fair bit of ground to make up. And we're just moments away now.
It's only P11, it's not too bad. Come on.
Here we go, with the Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
Come on, let's go. Good race, boys. Let's get a good start.
And it's lights out, and away we go.
Come on, good start, boys. Let's not bin it on turn 1, lap 1, please. Looks like a fairly safe start. No positions lost or gained there. Still P9 and 11 for both the drivers. Now, when you're on PC, or well, it doesn't matter if you're on PC or not, but you can see the drop-down menus on the bottom left. There's 4 different ones you can click into, and you can go into all different manner of things, whether it be managing the driver's pace, managing how much they push on fuel, how much they conserve, and also their battery usage. So you can tell them to up their pace through just their raw drive. You can tell them to up their pace with energy usage with the ERS. As you can see, it's currently on neutral. You can put the ERS up into deploy or overtake or defense, or conversely you can go into harvest mode, which then recovers it. As well with fuel, you can tell them to push lift and coast a little bit more, and that changes rapidly, you know, how much pace your driver has, and you've got to keep an eye on those numbers, because you can quickly get in trouble with your fuel numbers, and you can quickly run out of ERS if you're fast forwarding time, for example. So you've really got to be looking everywhere at the same time.
Alright, buddy, push. Copy.
it's very easy when you're managing 2 drivers to neglect one if they're maybe down the order a little bit. And as you heard there, that was the driver radio, which was really, really sick to hear. And we're going into overtake mode for Ocon's ERS. So looking to get past Lando Norris here. We're in a tight fight with McLaren at this stage. So let's see if we can get the better of those guys. Verstappen doing a Verstappen and absolutely pulling away. So the car order looks pretty realistic to me. Alpine, well, let's see. We've got Ocon on the soft compound tyres. He's going to be going aggressive off the start. Alonso might be a little bit more conservative with his medium compound tyres, trying to stretch a one-stop potentially. But yeah, you can see the fuel is fairly equal across the 2 drivers. Ocon pushing a little bit harder and Alonso looking to conserve those tyres. 93% tyre wear on the medium so far. So the wear is actually pretty...
ERS enabled.
Copy. Awesome. Keep it up. Copy now.
The wear is pretty even as we see Ocon getting past Lando Norris there for P10. Now, a really cool feature is you can tell your drivers to not battle each other or to let the other one go past, which I think you'll see right now. So we tell Alonso not to fight the teammates. Ocon goes through on the faster tyres, faster pace at this stage, and that is how you successfully manage 2 teammates in Formula 1. And now we untick that, and now he can fight his teammate if he wants to, which is a little bit counterintuitive. But hopefully Ocon's got the pace to march on forward and really put pressure on those top 8 drivers. Now, you can fiddle through the different camera angles. You've got replay cameras, then you've got the onboard cameras. Looking forwards, looking backwards at the rear wing. And then I think if you flick it again, you can have like a nose cam, which is really close to the ground. And that's really cool to see. So this is all playing out in real time. We're now going to defend mode for Ocon. Or was that Alonso? Having a look at the fuel load. And the strategy, you can change that on the fly. You can call in your drivers to come in at any point if you feel like your strategy isn't working, if you're getting held up by other drivers. So yeah, it really is a very dynamic experience.
No more ERS.
Copy up.
And there we go. That happens very quickly when you're on overtake mode or deploy mode even.
Okay, recharge on, recharge on. Copy up.
We're going on to harvest mode at a very untimely time as well because Ocon's got DRS and it's right behind Lewis Hamilton. If I was the manager, I'd probably stay in deploy or overtake here because we probably could have forced an overtake. I know it says 0% ERS, but the numbers change very quickly. Sometimes I don't feel like it updates quick enough sometimes because you'll look away for a split second and all of a sudden you've got 100% ERS again. So you've really got to be on the ball there. And unfortunately, Ocon wasn't able to get the move done, so he's stuck in behind in P9. A bit of a DRS train there, it seems, as Hamilton trying to get past Russell, but Mercedes aren't managing their drivers too well. They're getting held up and falling into our clutches. Meanwhile, Alonso has been overtaken by Norris, and actually he's
currently P10.
Copy.
He got overtaken by Norris, and he's actually just got back past him again. So when you're playing the game, you can have a look at the replays and the highlights if anything happens, and make sure you don't miss any of the action. So nice little inside pass there for Alonso, which is nice to see. We fast forward time onto lap 10. ERS is now fully charged for one of the drivers, that being Alonso. So he can push. My camera battery's gone, so that's GG. But yeah, you can fast forward, I think, up to 16 times speed. So that makes time go very, very quickly. But unfortunately, that pretty much concludes the race footage that we have. Unfortunately, I can't show you guys how the pit stops work in today's video. But if you stay subscribed or subscribe to the channel, I'll show you guys more gameplay of F1 Manager 22 at some point. This is again going up to the race preparation screen. You can have a look at all the different circuits and maybe plan out maybe upgrades that you want to have in the build up to a particular race. If you see like maybe there's a high tire wear track coming up, you might want to try and, you know, focus development in a particular area that's going to favor a particular track coming up. And you can see all the various stats and strategies for Not only the track you're coming up to very next, but all the ones in the future on a particular season, which is really, really cool. Looking at the drivers now, and you can manage your drivers from this screen. You can scout drivers, as we touched upon earlier. If you have a look through this little list, you'll see right at the bottom, we have Nico Hulkenberg, who is contracted to be an F1 driver. He's not scouted, but I believe he's the reserve driver for Aston Martin. So Hulkenberg is in the game, and he's free to be hired. So that is really, really cool. You can go to the filter screen, and you can filter by championship, age, remaining contract, scout level. We've selected F2 drivers here, so you can select maybe some up-and-coming talent to be a reserve driver, for example. So the possibilities really are endless when it comes to selecting younger drivers and potentially scouting other drivers. Here you can choose your staff. So you've got the technical chief, head of aerodynamics, race engineer for both drivers. Then you've got your engineering team, your scouting team, your pit crew. So you can scout better staff to improve the efficiency of pretty much all areas of performance, which is pretty crazy. Even going into the pit crew ratings, which is absolutely crazy that it gets broken down into all those different categories. So I'm just really impressed with the level of detail that they've gone into for their very first attempt at an F1 manager game. Here is the facilities management, factory design center, wind tunnel, CFD simulator, all these things. Costs a lot of money to upgrade, but then you can really ramp up development once you go up to that next level of performance. So yeah, it's nuts. You've even got like a condition of your facilities. They can, I suppose, wear over time, I'm guessing, and it costs money to refurbish them, to have them running at full capacity again. So what do I say? I'm just speechless, and I'm barely even scratching the surface of the level of things that you can do on this game. We're going to need multiple videos to go over everything. You can get fired in F1 Manager 22 if you're doing a horrible job. So then it comes down to finding yourself another team to manage. And one really cool fact, which I'll leave you guys with to end the video, is that this career mode is not limited to 10 seasons. Theoretically, you can keep going forever. How awesome is that? Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content from both F1 games, the main Formula 1 game, but then the manager game, which I am supremely excited about, as you guys can tell. Thank you so much for watching. I'll bring out more gameplay when I can, so stay subscribed for that. And until my next video, I'll see you next time.